Hey friends, Andrew Carruthers from The Journeyist. You know how some days you're awesome, and then you also have days that you just kind of suck? Well, in filming this video, I found my ultimate level of suckitude. So the first time I tried to film this video, I was in Brookings, Oregon, and we were at Harris Beach State Park. And I got everything all set, I was excited to film, and realized I hadn't brought any of the cables for any of my external microphones. And it was a super windy day on the beach, so my audio pretty much sounded like this. Now, the heart brain simultaneously finds itself in a parasympathetic state. Pretty obnoxious, right? Yeah, you couldn't even really hear anything that I was saying, you just heard the wind and the waves, which, you know, is a cool sound, but yeah, no Andrew. So then a couple weeks later, I was in Seattle, which I thought would be another fun place to shoot. Went down to the waterfront, found some great views, started to film, got back to the hotel room to download the memory card, and the first couple things that I thought I was videotaping instead were just footage of me like this. So this is just going to be a super fun mashup of footage from the Brookings, Oregon trip, some shots from Seattle, some talking from Seattle, and a little bit from here. This is Lithia Park in Ashland, Oregon, one of my favorite places to hang out. It's just so peaceful, so beautiful. So we're going to kind of kick off the video here from Ashland, Oregon, then it'll jump over to Seattle, then it'll jump back over here. You're just not going to know where you're at. Today's talk is really specific to when we start to feel an insane amount of motivation, and yet at the same time, we feel incredible roadblocks. Why does that happen? Well, let's talk about it. So I've been feeling some of this really recently just because within my coaching business, my gut is saying, take a big jump. And yet there seems to be this roadblock, and it really specifically feels like this block in my chest. It's actually a really common thing. And a lot of times what's happening is your gut brain is having a little tiff with your heart brain. Wait, my what? Yeah, that's right. You actually have 3 brains. You have a head brain, a heart brain, and a gut brain. And this isn't, woo-woo fairy dust kind of stuff. This is actually real neuroscience. So some of the more esoteric belief systems have known this stuff for a very, very long time. But the cool thing is now modern science and medical science can actually prove that there's neural activity happening inside of our heart and our gut. Now, they're not quite as complicated, of course, as the head brain is, but they play a super key role in everything that you do every single day. So really, I think it's important that we understand what each of those pieces add to our life so we know how we can get them into congruence with each other. So the head brain, logically, is definitely the most complex part. It's our source of creativity, it's the source of kind of computational intelligence, but it's also that central computer system that really controls everything. So the fact that I can move my feet right now, the fact that blood is pumping through my veins, all of that is due to this guy, the head brain. Now the other 2 brains are the ones that very few people have really talked about or heard about, and that's the heart and the gut. But you innately actually know exactly what these brains and what the intelligence of these brains is all about. Think about the conversations you've probably had in the last couple of weeks. I bet you've said something like, hey, my heart feels a connection to blank, or my heart is really telling me that this is something that's important to me. Maybe you're also saying things like, my gut is telling me to jump on this, it's telling me to get going and get after this. Or it also could be telling you to stop in your tracks and not to pursue something. Your gut is definitely that sense of activation and motivation, but it's also your sense of intuition. Those messages that you're kind of like, where is that coming from? And the heart brain is exactly what you probably think it is. It's your sense of compassion. It's your sense of personal connection. And not just personal connection to other people, but also to your values as a human being. So if something like wisdom and happiness are your personal values, the heart is the centerpiece of that, and it's going to tell you if you're in congruence with those values. There's also a thing called the autonomic nervous system. And the way the autonomic nervous system plays into all this is there's a sympathetic mode and there's a parasympathetic mode. We are in our ultimate spot if those two things are in balance and we're in the center. But the sympathetic mode is when you're highly excited. This is our fight or flight kind of experience. The parasympathetic is more of that really restful state, very peaceful. What's kind of interesting about all this is that each of your brains can actually be affected by different ANS modes. So the heart could be in a parasympathetic while the gut is in a sympathetic. Why does this create this frustration? It's when the gut is feeling really motivated. There's this like, oh yeah, let's go get something done. But the heart has yet to maybe make meaning or to sense the value of it. So yeah, this feeling really sucks because this is the point where you get into frustration of, well, why am I just sitting around? Why do I feel this sense of apathy and also motivation at the same time? And you're probably thinking, just get out of your own head, just get out of your own way. Maybe other people are telling you you're lazy because you haven't done this thing that you want to do yet. But the problem is until you get the heart online and you get a sense of meaning behind what you want to do, it's going to continue to struggle and to push back against that sensation that you have in the gut, which is motivation. This can actually get even crazier because this can start to get the gut into this highly sympathetic state, which is not good because when the gut is motivated and it starts to switch over into the sympathetic, that's where compulsive behavior starts to come in, this sense of anxiety starts to hit you, and a lot of times to kind of scrub off some of that energy, we start to get ourselves into things that are completely unproductive because, hey, the energy's got to go somewhere, right? So how do you know if the heart is in that parasympathetic state? It's just really about checking in with your feelings. A lot of times it's a sense of loneliness, this sense of apathy, this just overall kind of why bother sort of mindset. So what do we do about this? The first thing we have to do is we have to check in with the purpose behind what we're trying to do. Because if there's no sense of value, if there's no real sense of personal quality to it, then the heart's not going to buy in, and good luck getting past that roadblock. There's also the possibility that it does actually fit your value system, and so it's like, well, why is this not getting online with me? And it could really just be a physical thing. Because if the heart's in that parasympathetic state, it's in that very restful state for a very long time, there is that principle that objects at rest tend to stay at rest. Check in. When's the last time you got this thing pumping? When's the last time you had some actual cardiovascular exercise that made the heart pump some blood through it? Or did something that you were so passionate about that you could actually feel it in your chest? If those things haven't happened recently, your heart just could be stuck in a parasympathetic state. So if you're feeling the meaning, you're feeling the motivation, but there's still just that lack of connection to the purpose, it might just be time for a run. More than anything, I hope that what this does for you is it gets rid of a little bit of frustration, because now you can understand what's happening with that sense of, hey, I'm motivated, but there's still this roadblock. And this is just one possibility of what that roadblock is, but what we found in coaching is it's a really, really common place to be. Now, I'd love to know if this is something that you're experiencing, if it's something that makes sense to you. So please definitely leave some comments, leave any questions that you might have. Let's get a conversation going. I'd also like to dedicate this video to the memory of Grant Suslow. He is the founder and the creator of mBraining, and unfortunately we lost him a few months ago, so this goes out to you, Grant. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Andrew Carruthers from The Journeyist.